Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another week of the Better Events Podcast. This is Mary Davidson, one of your co hosts. And in today's episode, we are throwing it back. We are listening to our event predictions from last year about 2025 and making predictions for 2026. We do this every year. So this is a repeat episode you may have heard before, but it's really fun to listen back and see if we were wrong or right in our predictions. So let's do it again and let's get into the episode.
Welcome to the Better Events Podcast. Join two event strategists, Logan Clements and Mary Davidson, who believe we can all create, host, and attend better events. In this podcast, you will learn about event strategy and actions that you can use today as an event host, planner, or manager. Hear directly from the people who are creating innovative and inspiring events today and tomorrow, and grow your business along the way. Now, let's get started, and thanks for listening to the Better Events Podcast.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Better Events Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Logan Clements, and I'm joined by fellow co-host Mary Davidson. And this week, I love this topic. We do it once a year where we travel back in time and see how our predictions from last year Logan and Mary did and make some new ones for the future. But before we jump into it, we have our conversation starter, which Mary, I will admit, came from a controversial question we asked some professional softball players this summer, and it sparked such a debate in my press box that I have now going to ask everyone I know. So listeners, tell me your answer. Agree or disagree? You need to put your pants on before your socks. Mary, agree or disagree?
It depends the pants. I can't just agree or disagree.
Like in life, overall, majority of the time, do you put your pants on and then your socks, or your socks on and then your pants?
My pants and then my socks, because I don't only put socks on. I have inside socks and outside socks. So I change my socks before I go outside and I have pants on by then. That was probably not the answer you were expecting.
I love this. I mean, my answer is I always put my pants on before my socks unless I'm wearing very skinny jeans or specifically getting ready for like snowboarding, because you just have to layer things differently.
Yeah.
But there are, Mary, in this world, there are people who put their socks on first always, and then put pants
knowing
on.
what shoes they're wearing at the right when they're getting dressed. I got to try some shoes on it, and then the socks differ.
I know, it just feels, it feels wild to me. Listeners, there's definitely some of you out there that agree with this other scenario and disagree with Mary and I. There was a debate. My audio tech, he firmly was a socks on and then pants. Followed by my DJ did the same thing at my event. The rest of us in this press box, the other 5 of us, always did pants first and then socks. So, yeah, just a silly one.
A hot take, silly question. Who knew?
I didn't know it was going to be such a hot take. In the context of softball, they do socks first and then pants because they wear long socks and then the pants are quite tight. That's where it makes sense. But they, we're making fun of anyone who does it the other way. And I was like, it applies in real life too, because visceral reactions.
Oh my gosh, what a good one. Okay, I'm gonna ask that to other people because that's interesting. And now I feel like I'm doing it wrong, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. We are excited for today's episode. Honestly, it's event predictions. This is an annual tradition, so you could listen back to episode 165 if you wanted to hear our last episode where we did this in 2024. But you're also going to hear some clips from 2024 today, and so it's just a fun little inception moment. You could continue to go back each year and listen to this episode, but in each episode, you'll hear some clips from the previous year. So we are excited to get into it. But before we do, we want to answer some questions ourselves. So Logan, what are you most excited about as you look ahead to next year, 2026, which feels very far away?
It feels so far away, and yet I was putting something on my calendar for like a family vacation for next year, and I was like, oh wow, I already have like 6 other things that I'm holding dates for next year, which feels like a lot of things when we're only in July, for next year. I think my overall, I'm very excited. There's a Winter Olympics next year. It's always fun when it's an Olympic year. So 2026, that is something I know I've just, as a person, I am excited about seeing any kind of Olympics. So that's thrilling. Personally, I will say next year scares me a little bit overall, and that's exciting. And I think I'm jumping ahead for our second question, Mary, but it's also scary because I'm just anticipating a lot of life shifts and things happening next year in a way that it's going to shake up my routine. And I think that's a good thing. But as somebody who likes to plan, it is making next year a little bit hard to plan for. But yeah, so excited and scared at the same time. So Mary, what about you? What are you most excited about for next year?
Oh, every year in business is so different. So I am just excited in general to see like the growth and whatever that looks like. But just so many lessons learned every year. So ironically, I'm excited to just see what those are and implement them to do better next year. But also at the same time, like this year has probably been my hardest year in business so far. And so I'm really excited just to like look ahead to being done with this year, to be honest. I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's how I'm feeling. I'm like so in 2025 right now. That's hard to think about 2026 for me personally. So yeah, I think I'm just excited to hopefully make it through some things and start 2026 off strong. So what scares me as I look ahead? Well, 2025 started off a little rocky, and I'm worried that the same thing's going to happen in 2026. So I am in the current state. Maybe some of you might resonate with this, where I'm just very much living season to season, and that is what is like helping my brain just wrap around all the things. So this isn't a good answer to this question, but this is also where I'm at right now. So I'm just going to keep it real with you all.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I guess I already answered the second one of asking what scares you as you look ahead. Is there anything you want to add to your answer?
I think that like we'll get into some event predictions, but we had like a contract canceled this year, and it scares me that's not going to come back next year. I was thinking after like things kind of sort out with this year that maybe it would come back, and I don't know that that's going to happen, and that's a bummer because it was really cool. So that's something like if that is a recurring theme, kind of scares me because it makes things a little bit less predictable.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, yeah, the uncertainty of the future. And that's, I guess, our caveat. While we listen back, you will see, listeners, we like to laugh at ourselves because I don't think there's anyone out there who's truly great at predicting the future, just like overall, but especially in event industry things. You're going to hear a lot of, like, at the start of the year, I think there's a lot of similar topics people touch on of like, this is going to be a trend. Like we had Alicia Drewby on the podcast. It's like sustainability is no longer a trend. It should be a thing, but unfortunately it still hits all these lists of trends. So I just want you all listeners to take it with a grain of salt and a little bit of grace for Mary and I, that this is more like a fun exercise and then a little time capsule for us to listen back to hear just how true or how wrong we were about what the future will hold. So Mary, are you ready to go back in time and listen to your first prediction from last year?
Let's do it. Prediction for 2025 is kind of along the same line, so that's interesting. But it is that I think there's going to be competition where people spend their time, and that will continue to increase. So we need to show people why they should come to our events, why they're important, or tell them why they should come back if it's a recurring event that happens. And I think that actually contradicts my prediction from last year, because what I'm about to say is that there are more events than ever, and I think that that's going to continue. And so if that's the case, there's more competition, and yeah, we just need to help people understand why they should come to ours. I keep contradicting myself every year, I feel like, because I literally just said I'm worried in 2026 that there's not going to be as many events, and then here we are. Oh, hilarious. Well, I think this probably paints a little bit of picture of the industry. Every year is just a little bit unknown.
Yeah, it's like there's plenty of events and yet there's not at the same time.
Yeah,
but there really is. I think it's more the framing of it, right? It's your vision,
right.
Is if you've had a couple no's, or to that point, the competition of it all, that there's so many events out there, you're competing for attendees.
Yeah, and if you hear the industry as a whole, like things moving or shifting, then it makes it kind of scary, but like maybe you're experiencing something different yourself. So yeah.
All right. What's your prediction for 2026?
All right. So my 2026 prediction is, and I actually have no idea if this is going to be true, but I hope that it is. Okay, my 2026 prediction is that virtual events will make more of a comeback. We've seen them continue to happen over the years, but I do think that we might see a little bit more of them coming back again in 2026, because I think a lot of us have realized that we just like want to be chill and like don't want to put on pants, and we forgot that for a minute, and we're like, wait a minute, that's actually amazing. And that's what I've experienced when I've attended some recent virtual events. I'm like, wait a minute, these are awesome now. Like I kind of missed them. And so that's just, I don't know if it's going to be true, but that's a prediction I'm going to make about 2026.
Oh, I love that one, Mary. You know, I'm a fan of virtual events, and yeah. So you're essentially saying it'll swing back a little bit more, not to COVID levels, but
Yeah. Yeah.
more
Absolutely.
of them. Oh, that's a good one. All
Yeah.
right, let's see what I said for my first prediction of last year for 2025. So my first prediction for 2025 is going to be that venue spatial needs are going to continue to shift. And I mean this as in like big events are going to continue to want bigger and bigger spaces so that they can accommodate more breakouts, more specialized tracks, but also more meeting space for people to take calls, meet with other attendees, more auxiliary outside of your general session and breakout kind of needs. And then on the flip side, I see small events needing more niched, unconventional spaces. They're going to get away from these bigger event spaces that we see. I don't know, Mary, exactly how I'm going to check this apart from getting to feel it out with other event pros, but that's something I'm seeing with what I'm doing with these really big events. And then my smaller events seem to be wanting that more like in a restaurant or in just something different than a ballroom. Oh, this is hard to check, listeners. I don't know how to fact check this on myself. Yeah. Oh gosh, you talk about being a contradiction, Mary. I'm like, my first prediction for next year is kind of a contradiction to this. I definitely had some clients, like anecdotally, that were looking for the big ones were looking for more space last year. I don't think my small ones did as much as I think I was aspirational. I want them to go to more unconventional spaces, and they really didn't. But what would you say, Mary? Would you say there was any truth to my prediction from last year?
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of hard to know, but yeah, I agree. I agree with everything that you just said. I think like I would love to get like a venue perspective on this or something. Like I feel like I can't necessarily provide the context, but from what I've seen, I don't know. I'm not answering this at all because
This is
it's a hard one.
Mary's non-committal. I think I set myself up to not be able to prove yes or right or wrong on
But
this.
that means it's right, so it's
Sure.
fine. You were correct, Logan.
All right. Well, my first prediction for 2026, I will say why I think feel like it's going to contradict it a bit is I am predicting 2026 to be the great event shakeup, which means events that you've had for years are going to want to quote unquote shake up or revamp their event structure. And this is mainly coming from experience that I have certain clients I've worked with for the last 4 or 5 years that like did something in COVID, adapted it for us coming out of COVID. And like we're hitting that like 5 year, I don't know, is it a thing, Mary? I think it's the 7 year itch or like, I was like, we're in the 5 year itch where I've had clients who are like, well, we've done the same thing, small tweaks here and there, but like the general same thing the last couple of years. And 4 out of my 5 for the first half of next year have already told me it's going to look different. And literally by different, like completely different structure, different market. I've had one event that's probably not coming back, like just in general. Like I'm feeling a shakeup in a way that previous years I had some like, okay, we've done it. We're going to do it pretty similar. But I'm feeling that. So 2026, I feel like it's going to be the great event shakeup. We're going to see some events go away. Some events try something completely different. And while that's scary, that's also really exciting because it's fun to get to try something different.
Logan, I think this is true. I think that when you said it, I was like, I think this has been true for like many years. Everybody wants to shake it up every year. So is it going to be like a big shake up in 2026? I don't know. I feel like they end up just wanting to change like one little thing, but I'm gonna give this one whatever this is, hands in the air, because
Yeah.
I think that it is very possible. Yeah, they've been talking about it for years.
I mean, and I'm saying shake up, like, yeah, not like a small tweak of like, let's change the decor or the theme. It's like completely redoing the structure. Used to target 30 event people. Now we're going after 250 people, or a gala that's no longer a gala and now is going to be like a brewery pop up. While
Maybe.
In a good way, I guess, changes. But
I think that would be exciting. All right. Now we're listening to my next prediction. My prediction is that swag is going to die. Not completely, obviously, I can't say that, but I do think people don't like a lot of swag anymore. It is not good. We're getting more sustainable. If you're going to give it, make it count. So I don't know. I just think like I think people are going to stop buying it and stop giving it out because people don't want it. And I think that shift is going to come probably pretty rapidly, because I've been hearing like a lot of stuff lately about people they're just over it, or they're not doing it at all anymore because they're just bugged. So There you go. There's a
Love it.
prediction that could be completely wrong. We'll see. Well, I have to say, I have gotten, approximately at least 5 new water bottles this year from events. So I don't know how true this is, but they're all reusable. But anyway. Yeah, interesting. I mean, obviously it's true. In fact, that's something I wanted to say again this year. I forgot that I said it last year. I think we see a recurring theme of this kind of being bettered, or maybe there's less swag over the years. I know, Logan, like for us, we try to be really intentional with our swag if we're giving something away. So I feel like I've seen changes, but I think it's because we're trying to implement changes or influence changes for events that we're a part of. In general, I was actually just thinking this. I went to like a hosted buyer event and I didn't get the normal like swag sort of stuff that you get when you attend those, and it caught, and I realized it, but I was kind of grateful in a way, to be honest, because I didn't have as much just like stuff to take home and figure out what to do with. So I don't know if that was because of the company I went with or because it's a shift in the industry. I don't know, but I did notice it. So I'm going to say maybe we're continuing to move that direction. What do you think, Logan?
I mean, I think people are going definitely in a more functional direction, right? Yeah. I think, I mean, you saw my face. I was shocked for you to say swag is dead because, and I'm sure some of our people listening, if you work at a swag company, you're like, no, we don't want to die. We want to keep our business going. But I do think the shift more is in, the reusable water bottle, the functional thing that you're going, to use or have in your workspace, regularly. And ideally that's a hope that you're getting away from the cheap stuff, right? The cheap pens and things that people don't really need. So I'm encouraged, Mary, to your anecdote about hosted buyer, because I feel like something like that's a little bit more far reaching than some of my events. We definitely, from like a sports world, I will say most of my clients this year, we're thinking we still give away things to fans, but it was all there was a purpose to it where it was a lot of it was reusable. And it was either something that helped them make noise, is like a goal of a sporting event. You want it to sound loud and exciting, or it was something super visual. And again, less of like just a little flimsy thing to have. Like we had these huge flags that were really cool. So I don't think you were right that it would die, but I think you were right that it is moving in the direction to just be better.
Yeah. And can I share my favorite piece of swag I've gotten this year? Just because it feels relevant. This actually might be junk. I don't know, but I'm obsessed with it. It's a little disco ball that plugs into your phone and it syncs to music that you play on your phone. It's the dumbest thing. And I am obsessed with it. I use it when I listen to music, when I'm like just hanging out.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So there's still little dumb things you can buy that are memorable. So there you go.
That's so funny, Mary. I love that. What is your new prediction for 2026?
Okay, so this one, I've been thinking about it for a long time and I'm trying to put it into words. So bear with me. Hopefully I portray this correctly. Over the years, we've seen a emphasis on wellness for event professionals. And I love to continue to see that. I think, I don't know about you, Logan, I've seen talks still continue to happen about that. It seems like it is a priority. Are people implementing it? Actually, it kind of seems like they are. I don't know. But the fact that these conversations are continuing to happen is cool. So my prediction is that there will be some type of industry, I don't know if I want to call it a shift or an agreement or something like more official that will come about the expectation of event professionals and wellness. So maybe it's a law, maybe it's a rule, maybe it's an industry standard. I don't want to say unionized because that would be crazy, but like it's like that type of like something semi-official finally, because we don't have a lot of like industry standards that we're all following. But maybe we, somebody create something and we start implementing this manifesto about wellness or something. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't know how to summarize it. But because it has continued to be a thing, I am going to predict that in 2026, it might get a little bit more official for us in the industry.
That's a fun one. I was about to say, I was like, a law or a rule? That's huge. Again, I think I love it. It's an aspirational one, right? We want there to be better structures of wellness, of helping us avoid burnout and just longevity as event pros, and not all ending our careers with back and knee problems would be ideal. So, Mary, I think that was a great one. Let's listen to my next one from 2025. What was 2024 me thinking I would happen by this year in events? Something you've heard me say on the podcast before, folks, but virtual events are here to stay. They are going to continue to be a thing. I'm sorry, Mary.
But no, you're just drilling it in. I love it. It's true.
well, my caveat here is that event planners will either need to stay up to date on the latest and greatest technology, or they're going to find budget to engage with an event technologist, which I've seen thrown around more often in the last couple months, or an event producer, pointing at myself, that does. So that's my prediction, Mary. You don't necessarily, as the event planner, have to know about virtual events, but just know I think it's going to continue to be maybe even a niche that people still engage on, and it's not going away. I mean, Mary, this is in line with your prediction for next year. But yes, I think I nailed it with this one. I don't think it was that wild of a prediction to make. But I definitely am still, again, my ratio of in-person to virtual is still heavily weighted on the in-person side, but I continue to have clients and specific projects see the value in virtual. And there are several roles I get at events because of my background of understanding virtual. So I think I nailed it with that one. Again, I don't think it was a wild claim to make, so I think like I get half credit, but Mary, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. We super aligned from you last year to me this year. I don't know what I would have said if I said what I said this year, if I would have said it last year. But yes, what I'm trying to say is I think we're aligned in this one this time. And it'll be interesting to see because, like you said, I'm just going to say this, event professionals, if you haven't gotten on board with learning a virtual event skill, I'm going to say now's the time. Like, better late than never, especially if our predictions come true.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can choose to put a head in the sand and not learn it at all, but just know then, yes, you're going to have to rely on folks around you to do that. And I will say there's some event pros I know who are, have been around the industry for so long, and they just have kind of gotten like, I know what I'm good at, and virtual is not one of them. And so they just then have developed a network of people they know who can do that. So, but yes, it is, I would say if you're newer in your career or looking to be around for many, many, many more years, adding that to your back pocket, at least a basic understanding would be beneficial. So my second prediction for 2026 is going to be kind of in line with my first one, talking about the great event shakeup. I think budgets as well as vendors at events are going to get restructured in the sense that we know that costs in some areas, everything's going up in cost. And so I think, and something I've already started to see is clients just re-looking at people they might have worked with just as a default for years and now trying to either scale back on certain things that don't matter so that they can cover the increasing costs elsewhere. Because overall, I'm not necessarily seeing budgets are not increasing at the same rate as costs. So something's got to give. So that could be something as like shorter events. So maybe a 4-day event now is only a 3-day event, or they do less meals, or they scale back the production. I had a big client that is talking about that for next year, which was to me surprising. But again, their reaction to, I think, more the uncertainty. So this is both exciting because you have to be creative, but also scary because maybe you're one of those vendors they're coming back to and going, I don't know if we can work together in the same capacity.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And what I was thinking when you were saying that is something we've experienced is competing against multiple bids ourselves. And it's for clients that we've already worked with before. And they're like, we want to work with you again, but we have to get multiple bids this year. And all of that process, which makes sense. And I understand it. But it reminded me of exactly what you're saying. And that's happened this year more than ever. So I can only imagine 2026 might be a little bit further reflective of that as well. All right. I think it's time for my last prediction from 2024 about this year, 2025. I think that technology will continue to show itself at events, new technology, but most of it isn't going to stick. This isn't firm, but an example is like one we may see more of is like the silent disco for the headphones, like this, whatever you're calling them, the silent headphones, right? That you can use for sessions, for music, for performances. I've seen it used recently, which was really interesting. So yeah, I think technology just isn't really, most of it's not going to stick. I think it's got to be something big. And I think we've had a lot of big things lately. And I don't know if we'll see if any of that's going to happen in 2025. So I don't think anything new or at least going to stick super hard. But I think that's the name of the game with technology. Like that's just how it is. There's so much and most of it, nothing happens. So no, I don't think so. I honestly, Logan, I don't know about you, but nothing has seemed groundbreaking this year. It really hasn't. Again, silent disco headphones, they still exist. I see those around. We did a tour during the Northwest Event Show, a food tour of the show floor using silent disco headphones. So that was kind of cool. But that's still equipment that we've seen, in existence before. So you're a little bit more involved in the tech world, Logan, so I'd love your opinion. But for me personally, I haven't seen anything like huge and groundbreaking still.
Yeah, nothing super wild. I
Unless
feel
you
like
could say AI, but that's kind of its own thing. I don't know.
yeah, I mean it's its own thing. I think people are getting more used to that though, of having AI be a component or make something or I have to agree with you. I mean, again, and I think there's stuff people are making stuff out there, but I mean, I don't want to contradict my last prediction because I'm like, budgets just haven't been like, there hasn't been an excess of resources to invest in new things. As much as I would have loved to say, let's try something different, or even like that silent disco headphone thing. Like I have not had a client pull the trigger on that or have the excess budget to try something like that.
Yeah, that might be what it is as well. So that's
Yeah.
a great point for sure.
All right, Mary, what's your last one for 2026?
My last prediction for 2026 is that I think that we will see more events go viral, whether for good or bad reasons. And I think that because, social media and all the things that's been in existence, but lately this year, and maybe it's just my feeds, I've gotten, wind of some like bad events, experiences that people are having, and they're like posting about them. And that's been really, really interesting to see because they've been some really unfortunate circumstances. And I think that that probably exists no matter what, but we're hearing about them more because people are posting about it and it's going viral. And so, once again, I don't know if that's just my feed this year, but I'm going to predict that in 2026, we're going to see more events go viral for good or bad reasons.
I like it. That's like spicy because I say my nightmare for a lot of events I do, and especially ones that are televised. I'm like, you shouldn't see what I'm doing because if you see what I'm doing, it would probably be for something going wrong. But sometimes it's for something going right, and that's so exciting. But I love it, Mary. That's a great prediction. Excited to see that one come true just because I like the tea of seeing other people's events. I just don't want to be in the news.
Oh, for sure. Likewise. It's the same.
Listen to my last prediction from 2025. Third and final prediction for 2025 is also a production related one. And this is that driven by costs, as we've seen, things have gone up so much that more event organizers and event planners are going to start considering outside AV vendors instead of just default relying on the in-house support. So that doesn't mean they will choose the in-house support less, but I think there's more planners out there who are valuing the competition that they get just by shopping their AV order around. And I will just, again, I'm going to manifest this, listeners. If you are not shopping your AV order around, you should be, so that you make my prediction come true and you also save some money along the way. I want to say this is true, but I'm going to say in my experience, I don't feel like it really, I can strongly say that came true. I still have a lot of people who are using in-house vendors. And if anything, I think I've just gotten more vocal, at least of asking the question, have we looked outside? And a lot of times if they say no, it's because we're too far down that rabbit hole and they just signed with in-house. But Mary, how about you? Because you're not in this world. Have you seen it skew one way or the other?
I would just say that it seems the same, that yes, sometimes people are getting outside quotes, but then there's still this effort of trying to teach on why it is important to maybe pursue some other quotes. And it is continually frustrating. So Logan, I would say that this tip is still super important. When you said it, I was like, oh, this needs to be a tip again. Let's just repeat it because it is really, really valuable. So unfortunately, I'm not seeing it as much as I would like.
Yes, unfortunate. Okay, my last one for 2026 then is that email marketing will be less of a focus for promoting your event compared to more grassroots marketing, more like word of mouth, influencers, posting on social media, that kind of thing. Again, I know all of those are already parts of promoting for an event, but I think with AI and more AI driven inboxes, I think people's promotional emails are getting filtered out in a way that I think you'd get a little more traction in the past. Again, hard for me because I'm not an email marketer, but just one I noticed from how I'm hearing about events, it's a little less in email and more through my network and what other people are talking about.
It'll be interesting to see if that's true. Honestly, it's a great prediction, and I think that it makes sense that it shifts that direction, but I wonder if people will get on that shift. I think it's probably needed, but it might take them a little bit longer to get there. So it's a great prediction. And now we have our bonus tip for today, which Logan has.
Yes. This week's bonus tip is if you are flying internationally, make sure you take and save that little airplane like amenities kit that they give you, mainly the stuff you don't use, and put it in your event kit because, we love to talk about all the random things you never know that you need on site. Well, in the last 3 months, I had put 2 different pairs of the little earplugs they give you for flights in my event kit because of I don't know when I need them. And I had 2 very different scenarios where someone asked, does anyone have earplugs? And I was very satisfied to get to bring out the little individually wrapped earplugs I did not use. And I would assume the airline probably throws away because I don't use them and instead put them to good use. So don't sleep on your little amenities kit from your international flights. Your event kit could use it.
That is a great tip, Logan. I was just thinking about one I had that has an eye mask, and I was like, I'm going to go take it out of there and use that. So love it. Great tip. Thank you for that. And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of the Better Events Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Better Events Pod. You can email us at bettereventspod@gmail.com. You can also connect with us directly on LinkedIn. We love to hear from you. Just let us know that you know of us or you heard from us from the podcast. And then if you want more Better Events content, be sure to check out our private community on Substack. And thank you so much for listening to another episode. We will be back with you again next Wednesday.